The promise of a new dawn and the guiding light of a melody bring us back to a time of pure nostalgia, where we uncover the breathtaking yet heartbreaking journey of a definitive musical legend. Welcome back to our look into the lives of icons who shaped our world. Today, we explore the story of a woman many call the most incredible female vocalist to ever grace a microphone. The life of Karen Carpenter was a masterclass in talent, but it was also shadowed by a deep, personal gloom. When she was most vulnerable, her own family seemed to look the other way. Alongside her brother, she conquered the global charts, yet her search for love was a relentless uphill battle. She left us far too soon under tragic circumstances, but the songs she left behind are timeless. This is the rise and the sorrowful fall of Karen Carpenter. The story begins on March 2, 1950, in New Haven, Connecticut. Karen arrived 4 years after her brother, Richard. Their parents, Agnes and Harold, were not known for being overly warm or demonstrative with their affection. It was a poorly kept family secret that Richard was the apple of his mother's eye, a preference that Karen felt acutely throughout her childhood. However, their home was filled with the sounds of their father's massive record collection, ranging from jazz to classical. This environment sparked a flame in both children. While Richard was a child prodigy on the accordion and piano, Karen was content to listen from the sidelines until her teens. They were inseparable, though not without friction. Karen was a natural athlete who loved baseball, and her skill often made Richard look bad on the field. Whenever a sibling rivalry flared up, Agnes was quick to defend Richard, a dynamic that would leave lasting marks on Karen's self-esteem. By the time Richard turned 16, his prowess at the keys was undeniable. Believing he was destined for greatness, the family packed up and moved to Southern California in 1963 to be at the center of the music world. While Karen missed her friends, the move forced her to find her own path. She joined the high school band specifically to skip gym class and ended up falling in love with the drums. By 1965, the Richard Carpenter Trio was born. Despite Karen's desire for equal billing, Richard insisted on the solo name. They started winning local contests and even landed a deal with RCA, but their sophisticated jazz sound didn't fit the rock and roll craze of the 60s, and the deal fell through. It was during these lean years that Richard realized his sister wasn't just a drummer. She had a voice that was pure magic. He decided she needed to be out front if they were ever going to make it big. As they stood on the edge of fame, Karen began to struggle with her self-image. At 17, she weighed 143 pounds, and after a bit of dieting, she received praise that fueled a dangerous obsession. In 1969, they finally got their big break when Herb Alpert of A&M Records heard their demo. He signed them immediately, though Karen was so young her parents had to sign the contract for her. Their first album didn't set the world on fire, and executives wanted to cut them loose, but Alpert saw something special. He gave them a song called Close to You, which had failed for several other artists. With Karen's velvet vocals leading the way, the track exploded, selling millions of copies and hitting the top of the charts in 1970. They followed it up with We've Only Just Begun, a song Richard expanded from a bank commercial. Within a single year, the siblings were international stars and millionaires. The early 70s were a golden era for the duo. Hits like For All We Know and Rainy Days and Mondays dominated the airwaves. By 1971, the group was winning Grammys, and their iconic logo became a symbol of quality pop music. However, Karen was still hiding behind her drum kit during live shows. Eventually, the pressure from critics and the label forced Richard to move her to the front of the stage. As Karen became the focal point, the dynamic shifted, and she began to overshadow her brother. Around this time, Richard made a bold, creative move by adding a fuzzy guitar solo to Goodbye to Love, effectively inventing the power ballad. On the surface, they were the wholesome faces of American youth, even visiting the White House to meet President Nixon. But behind that polished image, a dark reality was taking hold. The pressure of constant touring and recording took a toll. Richard became heavily addicted to Quaaludes just to cope with the stress and find sleep. Meanwhile, a stray comment from a reviewer calling Karen chubby sent her down a path of extreme calorie restriction. While Richard fought a public battle with pills, Karen fought a silent, misunderstood battle with anorexia nervosa. She would wear layers of clothes to hide her skeletal frame, even as they continued to churn out hits like Please Mr. Postman. By 1975, the public began to notice her frailty, sparking rumors of terminal illness. Instead of seeking medical help, her family treated her condition as a private matter that could be fixed with a few home-cooked meals. As their chart dominance began to fade in the late 70s, the internal cracks became impossible to ignore. In 1979, while Richard was in rehab, Karen attempted to branch out with a solo album. She worked with legendary producers to create something modern and upbeat. However, when she played the finished product for Richard and the label, they were brutally dismissive. The project was shelved, leaving Karen devastated and feeling like she had no identity outside of her brother's shadow. Her romantic life offered no refuge either. Despite dating several high-profile stars, she confessed to friends like Olivia Newton-John that all she really wanted was a husband and a family. She thought she found it in Tom Burris, but he turned out to be a financial predator. Days before their wedding, he revealed he couldn't have children. Karen wanted to call it off, but her mother forced her to go through with it to avoid a public scandal. The marriage was a nightmare of abuse and financial ruin, ending in divorce after just 1 year. By the early 80s, Karen's health was in a tailspin. She was abusing laxatives and thyroid medication to stay thin. She eventually sought help in New York, but her mother's refusal to show affection during family therapy sessions stalled her progress. After a stint in the hospital, she seemed to be recovering and even gained some weight. But the damage to her heart was already done. On February 4, 1983, at the age of 32, Karen collapsed in her parents' home and passed away. The years of using ipecac syrup to induce vomiting had literally dissolved her heart muscles. Even after her death, the family attempted to control her narrative, forcing filmmakers to sanitize the reality of their cold household. Karen Carpenter was a woman who gave the world so much beauty through her voice, but died still waiting for the simple validation of a mother's love. We hope you found this deep dive into Karen's life meaningful. It's a powerful reminder of the person behind the music we all love. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and share your favorite song by this incredible duo in the comments below. We love hearing where you're watching from. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another story from our channel. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.